Hi there, and welcome to my channel, and welcome to the Old Forest Cave. I have sort of a different video for you today. It's an interview, which means that we will soon jump from this location to an indoor location where I did an online interview with Tom from Breaking the Chains. Tom is an army veteran with vast experience from war-torn areas. And he's doing charity work, he's doing very important work. So I know that my videos are normally out there in the woods, but this one, out of practical reasons, it's in my office. So give it a chance, and yeah, okay, let's jump straight to the interview. We are very lucky today to have Tom from Breaking the Chains here with us, and we're going to talk about the situation in war-torn places. Excuse my Norwenglish, as I always say. And it's a serious topic. And you just came back from Turkey, was it?
Yeah, I've just spent 4 weeks in Turkey since the earthquake there. I've still got a team out there at the moment, but I've had to come back obviously to deal with admin stuff for the organisation and checking on the team in Ukraine.
So, as probably everyone knows, it's been, horrible. The earthquake in Turkey. It's a huge disaster, and what we read about and watch on TV and the news and so on, horrible scenes, people being, well, now I guess all hope is lost, maybe, but all these people being injured and who died during the earthquake, and we don't hear so much about the animals because they are victims too, right?
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, there's millions of displaced people. There's obviously the death toll of individuals is catastrophic all across like obviously the south of Turkey. So you got all those animals that have lost their families. But then also you got the animals that when the earthquake hit were scared, they'd hide in the house, the cats, because the buildings were coming down. Obviously the people had to flee, so the animals have been trapped in there as well. You got the animals that have been displaced living on the streets. That owners are obviously trying to relocate because, as you can imagine, when an earthquake of that magnitude hits and ceilings and walls are crumbling down and buildings are crumbling, they're not sat at the front door waiting for you to get them. That they're hiding in the tightest, smallest, most confined space. And when you've got tons and tons of concrete coming on top of you, you've got to get out of that building. So, yeah, there's a lot of affected animals all over Turkey, and it's heartbreaking.
Hmm. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and what you and your team are doing for those who still don't know?
Yeah, so I'm an ex-British soldier. I spent 17 and a half years in the British Army. So I'm ex-infantry. The rest of my team are all ex-military as well. So British Army and American veterans. We've all obviously got countless operations from around the world, conflict areas, Iraq, Afghanistan, just to name a few. So I set up Breaking the Chains to basically help animals. And then when the Ukraine war kicked off, obviously animal lover and good in conflict zones, it kind of the two kind of came together. So we then basically developed star teams, which is basically the teams of veterans, and we'll basically go anywhere and do anything using our skill sets to rescue animals, be it from a conflict area in a war zone or an earthquake in Turkey or a forest fire, wherever else. There's no extremes, no limits that we won't go to. We've got a lot of different skill sets amongst our teams. So we can go in high rises, we can go in forest fires, we can do wherever. And as a team, we're really effective.
So, where other people who want to help the animals, where they have to turn, go back, you can actually keep going.
Yeah, I mean and that's the thing. So what we do is we basically give to animals what emergency services give to people. So
Mm.
we'll risk our lives in situations to rescue animals, and we do it daily, and that's what we're all about. And it's about giving to the animals, basically being that last hope for many in Turkey. That's massively shown, where major rescues have basically come to us because of animals that they can't get, so that we can go in and get them. And it's like it's just been that sort of like elite team that people respect, that will just go into basically adverse conditions and dangerous locations and places and put ourselves in those positions where our lives are in danger to rescue those in need.
I would take my hat off to you if I had a hat on, but it's wonderful what you're doing. And for those who want to, we're going to keep talking, but for those who want to learn more, the website should be on the bottom of the page here, breakingthechainsinterntional.org.
Yeah.
A lot of people are curious in a way about the situation in Ukraine. Um, Now, we're going to stay completely out of the political thing here, but we do know it's a war. People and animals are victims in that war. But can you describe to us what it's like being there, going into the war zones in Ukraine?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's so obviously for myself and obviously my team, we grew up. We spent the majority of our lives, like I spent over half my life in conflict areas. So we're kind of used to that. So obviously we served in Iraq, Afghanistan, and basically every major conflict the world's known for the last 20 years. But Ukraine's different, and the reason why Ukraine's different is because it's what's known as a conventional war. So conventional war is two full-on armies going at each other. So the last time we saw a war of this magnitude was probably World War Two, and
Wow.
it shows, and it's absolutely horrific. Entire towns, villages, cities are getting annihilated. The death toll is obviously catastrophic, and you just basically imagine World War Two, but with like 21st century weapons, and it's absolutely insane. Yeah, it's not a nice situation. It's not pretty, and it's always the innocent people that suffer the most in any conflict. And with inside of Ukraine, that's massively showing for both the animals and the civilian population.
Yeah, because we see the images on TV, and we see the images, and you can only imagine what it must be like trying to uh, stay alive in such conditions. It must be incredibly difficult.
Well, yeah, it is. I mean, especially for the like civilian population in these areas that either A don't want to leave their homes because it's the only place they've ever been in their life, or because B they can't because they've got nowhere to go, they've got no financial support, or they've got disabilities and they can't get out. People are basically living in bunkers, so in basement, in cellars, under constant bombardment. And then obviously the animals. It's absolutely terrifying for the animals because obviously the constant loud bangs, the noises, the shocks.
Hmm.
It's terrifying, and 99% of the animals that we collect are basically rife with fear aggression, which means that they're that scared. Obviously, when you approach the animal, it's just terrified of everything, human beings, noises, like slightest of movement. So you have to be careful when we're rescuing the animals, because they often try and bite us, not because they've been aggressive, but because they think we're going to harm them, because all they've known for the past year is just pure fear. So in every element, they just want to protect themselves. And when you see an animal in that position that's that scared of you that it wants to bite you, and these are normally soft, caring, loving creatures, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, I've been thinking about one thing. I see Ukrainians going into the bomb shelters. Are they allowed to take their pets with them there?
Yeah, so so a lot of them do, and I mean the public sort of like bomb shelters, like the tube stations, the underground stations that you saw getting used a lot at the beginning of the war, it's sort of like the main bulk of the fighting is kind of like happening in small towns, cities. So the basements that the majority are living in are under their own houses. So quite luckily for Ukrainian people, I say luckily, they built storage basements basically in most properties in villages and towns, which have obviously come vital in the survival during this war. So if it was another country like Sweden, England that don't have those bunkers, and that war basically went on their land, the people would have nowhere to go. So that's one saving grace, is that they've got these solid concrete basements, so to speak, in and around the gardens and the houses that they can take refuge in.
Yeah. So it must be difficult when you find these animals and you can kind of guess that either their owners died or they cannot be found, and you have to rehome them, right? Is it, that must be difficult. How do you go about with the whole process when you gather these animals and get them out? Then what do you do?
Yeah, so what we did was, obviously space is paramount, and before you can remove a rescued animal from Ukraine into Europe, it's got to go through a series of tests.
Yeah.
They've got to get titer tested, they've got to do a quarantine. So it's around about a 5-month process. So you can't just pick up that animal and drive them straight out of Ukraine. It's illegal. So you got to get the documentation and stuff. So what we did was, to counteract that, we built a shelter. So we built our own shelter in Ukraine during the war. So we built our own veterinary clinic. So we've got a veterinary team, our own veterinary clinic, our own shelter, our own shelters team. And basically, when we rescue the animals, we take them back to our shelter. If they're owned pets, then we reach out to the owners. The owners reach out to us. We'll often hold the animals until the owners are in a position to come and collect them. If the owners have basically passed away or can't be located, then we'll give it a certain amount of time, and then we'll rehome them. But we don't just rescue owned animals in Ukraine. A lot of them are strays. A lot of them have never had owners, and that's because the villages where we get them from are under constant attack. So if we don't take them out, then they're going to get killed anyway through the shellings, the bombings, a small arms fire. So we need to get those out. So we get them out, we rehabilitate them, medicate them, obviously give them all the treatment, passports, rehabilitate them mentally, and then we find them homes.
Yeah, I have 2 rescue dogs myself, originally from Spain, actually, so a different part of the world, you could say. I think what you're doing is great. There should be more people like you and your team. What can people do if they want to help?
So obviously awareness is key on every aspect, and I always say this: there's not just obviously us rescuing animals. There's many other organisations. So I'm not going to sit here and say just donate to us and we'll solve the problem on our own, because that's not possible. Teamwork's absolutely paramount, and more organisations need to work together and for the common goal, because only with teamwork will we ever truly achieve that the effect and the result that we want. So if people obviously want to help Ukraine and Ukrainian animals, then by all means, feel free to donate to us. Click on the website and obviously go through some of our stuff. There's plenty of options with how you can help on there. However, there are other organisations, so research from social media. Have a look for organisations that basically pull at your heartstrings, and you think that what they do is in line with obviously what you like. Then obviously, and support them, and just direct as much support as you possibly can to not just our organisation, but every other organisation doing great work in Ukraine.
Yeah, I'm going to also give you a statement that I see now and then, because I'm I know what you're going to say. I think I know what you're going to say, but and you've seen this yourself. People are writing in comments and they're saying, "Well, why are you helping animals when there are people who need your help?"
So that's actually an easy question, and a lot of people obviously ask me that. Now, the thing is about breaking the chains is we don't just help animals, we help people as well. So there's an orphanage in Ukraine that we supported since day one of the war. There's elderly people in villages all across the conflict areas that we often pop into, have cups of tea with, because we've been supporting them since the start of the war. And a lot of people don't actually have a clue what's going on with the war and how best to help people, and obviously what people are actually doing. So one of the biggest explanations, and I always do this when I get asked this question because it's the easiest way to explain it, poverty and neglect for animals is basically side by side with poverty and neglect with humans. So where humans are suffering, animals will be suffering. That's a given. And at the moment, obviously, they're like this. If you go in there and try and raise the animal standard to this higher than humans, it's not going to work. It's never going to work. So you need to raise the human standard of living in order to then be able to obviously raise the animal. It goes hand in hand. So we're aware of that. We target these issues, and we support the local Ukrainian people in these villages so that they can support the animals, because no organization, not if every single rescue worked together and tried to remove every animal from Ukraine. It's not possible. There are millions. So what we need to do is we need to put some ownership and some emphasis on the local population by supporting them so that they can help the animals also. So then we achieve basically a larger goal than just trying to remove every animal from the conflicts. It's never going to happen. So we support people just as much as we support animals, because the more sustainable they are, the more effective they are, the more animals we help and save in the long run.
Yeah, that's absolutely. And I would, if I may, I would add that if something happened to me, like let's say, well, I live in Norway, so it's fairly safe here. But if something happened to me, I would be very. I think the best thing that could happen was if someone took care of my two dogs.
Mhm.
If I could not, so I think that's quite essential, because it's the most important thing in a way.
Well, yeah, and it is. And I mean, and the other thing is, so there's two other things I'll add on that. Is one, just like with humans loving humans, you can't help who you love. You love who you love. You love what you love. Some people enjoy doing some things, others don't like doing it. Some people like some people love some people, other people hate them people. And if you choose to love animals because that's your calling, no one's got a right to turn around and say you shouldn't love animals. And what animals give to us as society and obviously humanity every day is it's unexplainable. And people that have never experienced that love of an animal are basically the people that say this sort of thing, because they don't understand the true value and true gift that we're blessed with by having animals in our lives. And then the second thing is these people have lost everything. They've lost their homes, they've lost families, they've lost their livelihoods, they've lost their possessions, they've lost their belongings. Now, if we can save their animal and give them one bit of normality back to their life, we've just given them the greatest gift of all. And Turkey shows that every single day with every animal we rescue. We're going into, my guys today dug out a cat that had been stuck under the rubble in like a 7-story building. The entire building collapsed, gone, just rubble. And a cat was stuck underneath it. And my team in Turkey today dug that cat out, and its owner was stood at the side. She'd lost basically a family, she'd lost a home, she lost a possession, she's lost everything. She sat outside of that high rise for 3 weeks, hoping that cat was still alive. And we got that cat out and we gave her that cat. And that meant the world to her. So by saving that animal, we've just given the most precious gift to that human. It's hand in hand, it's side by side. And people that ask these questions are the people that are the biggest causes for why animals aren't safe in this world, because they don't understand how precious and how valuable every single life is.
That's yeah, that's fantastic. I can't find any words to. That's just, yeah, that's awesome. I'm so glad that you found that cat.
It's amazing. And like, all you got to do is look on our Instagram channel, and when we do the rescues, we go in, we'll climb in high rises, like destroyed buildings that are obviously on the brink of collapsing, and we'll go in there and we'll get animals that are stranded in there. And at the end of every rescue, because we've been notified of these animals and their locations by their owners, we've got their contact details. We'll FaceTime them so they can see the cat. And you just watch our Instagram and just see their reactions and what joy that brings to their life, obviously getting their cat back and or their dog. And it's incredible. And we're giving him like literally the gift of life. And it's like, you can't do that. and to them it means everything.
That's that's truly wonderful, and I just want to thank you for what you're doing. And again, the website should be on the bottom of the page here, so everyone please go and check that out. Um, yeah, I want to thank you for taking the time. I know you to talk here on this channel. I know that you and your team you are very busy. Um, so I won't keep you, but again, thank you. And uh, yeah, I'm very impressed with the work that you're doing. And yeah, what can I say? Totally awesome.
Well, thank you for having us, and obviously sharing this with your following, because without people like yourself and other supporters and other followers, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. We're, as I always say to people, we're merely the instrument of good people's will. And it's basically they're the foundation, and people like you, the foundation of everything that we do. And without your support, we wouldn't be able to do it. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And have a nice evening. And I'll keep an eye on your work, and I'll be following your rescues. And yeah, okay, okay. I won't keep you. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much, mate. You take care, and no doubt we'll speak again soon.